Welcome back to the Legacy Podcast. My name is Olisya Grant, co-founder of Matrix Legacy Inc. We are back for episode number 27. This is the show where we create a blueprint for success, we look for ways to create generational wealth, and we break those chains of a poverty mindset. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome, welcome. If you are back and been riding with me from the beginning, again, I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge you. I appreciate you so very much. Every single share, every single comment, every single like means the absolute world to me. So thank you, and thank you some more. So today's episode is actually almost like a throwback because one of our most popular episodes was about protecting your energy, and that was episode number 2. So if you haven't already listened to it, I would definitely go and take a listen. This is almost a part 2 of that, just a deeper dive. And of course, as usual, there's a few things that triggered it, a few events and things that were just brought into my life that made me realize that there's levels to this, okay? So this episode, we're gonna talk about how to take inventory and make sure that you have the right people and the right resources and the right energy around you that are conducive to the lifestyle that you want to create. We're all looking for happiness, success, peace in some form. And so who is in your environment and what is in your environment are literally the make or break for that. And then second of all, we'll just really talk about how do you become a person who attracts the right people, because I know I'm not the only one who has run into the same toxic relationship or toxic behaviors or the same headache over and over. Like, what is happening here? Why can't I shake it? Why do I keep meeting the same person? And so we're going to talk about all of that stuff today. Now, where I want to start is in order to protect your energy, you first have to shake the idea that you can do it by yourself. You cannot do it by yourself, right? And so you're going to want to make sure that there's the right people in your corner, there to protect you, there to guide you, there to support you. And so the reason that's sort of confusing for a lot of people, and it was very confusing for me, because in the beginning, once I decided, what I was going to pursue, what it was that I wanted to become and what I was going to work towards, a lot of the people around me were not in alignment with that. And for a little while, it was a very lonely place to be, because it's like I felt like I was speaking a different language. I felt like for whatever reason, there was nobody around me who could see the vision that I had, until I realized, well, not everybody's going to see your vision because it's yours. So it's almost like a balancing act there. You have to be willing to go it alone until you become the person who can attract the right people into your life. And so we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna circle right around to it. So don't go anywhere. You're definitely gonna want to stay for the entire episode on this one, because we're going somewhere with this. Okay. So first things first, I'm reading this new incredible book called From Good to Great. It's by Jim Collins, and in the book, he's specifically speaking to business, but a lot of the principles that apply to business also apply to our personal lives and our personal relationships. The most successful businesses are ones who have understood how to create those meaningful relationships and value teamwork and culture, and that is why they found so much success. And that's the same thing that applies to our lives. Once you start valuing your relationships, your teamwork, becoming the most valuable person that you could be, that is when you start finding success in your life. So in the book, he was breaking down the difference between a level 5 leader with a management team versus a genius with 1,000 helpers. Now, the level 5 leader is somebody with high levels of humility, professionalism, and they are really looking to groom and find up-and-coming leaders, people who are equally yoked, people who can run beside them and with them. So if, God forbid, they were to disappear, then the organization could continue on and possibly become even better if that person was to step down. So if you think about that in your life, when we talk about building a legacy, that's exactly what you're looking to do. Leave something behind, impact somebody so heavily that if for whatever reason you have to step down or you're called back home, then somebody can continue and carry the torch, hopefully even better than you were carrying it in the first place. Versus a genius with 1,000 helpers, that is somebody who's got a really big ego, and they usually have a very good track record. Maybe they turned a business around and started gaining more profits, or were able to create some kind of state-of-the-art system, whatever that looks like. but they're not interested in bringing up other leaders. They're just interested in being the head of the show and being the quote unquote genius. And so they're not looking to develop leaders. They're not looking for people to run beside them. They're looking for people to walk behind them and kind of be like the yes men, like, okay, boss, whatever you say. And so the reason this stood out to me is because in one of my business projects that I'm working on, I have somebody very, very dear to my heart, an incredible friend, very loyal, there for you if you need them. But this particular person feels like in their mind that they're that level 5 leader that we were speaking about, but their actions and the way that they speak to their team often reflect that genius with 1,000 helpers. Now, there are some of us, it might be just me, but I sometimes have a big problem with authority. I don't really like to be told what to do, when to do it. That's not for me. There's a lot of people who play a very good role in that. Like, we really need our soldiers who are very good at just taking orders. Give me my marching orders. I'll get the job done better than you ever seen. So those people are absolutely phenomenal regardless. And they're necessary. Everybody has a role. For me, I don't do so well with authority, especially when I know exactly what I'm doing, and especially when my passion and my heart and my work ethic and drive, all of that stuff are wrapped up in there. I don't do very well with orders. And so one of the people on my team was trying to come from a space of a level 5 leader, but instead they were coming across in their language and their actions as a genius with 1,000 helpers. Now, that wasn't going to fly for me. There's some people who might take that and just, have resentment or talk about that person behind their back or complain to the other people on their team about what that leader or what that person is doing. But for me, if I really care about somebody and you're out of line, you will get checked. The only time you will not get checked is if I don't really care much about the relationship and I'm okay with cutting you off. But if you're somebody in my space that I care about and I see you as valuable, if I see that your actions are not in alignment with the person who you've expressed that you want to be, I almost take it as my duty and my responsibility to point it out and say, hey, this is how it's coming across. Regardless of your intention, regardless of what you meant for it to sound like, or regardless of what you meant for it to feel like, this is how it's coming across. And I don't take orders from you. I will run beside you. I will help push you forward if you're down, but we are here to run together. We are building together. I don't take orders from you. And the way that you said what you said felt like you were trying to give me some orders. Now, the reason that I was so comfortable with calling that person out is because I've been able to surround myself with people who are very comfortable with calling me out. This is not a situation of criticism or belittling or trying to make somebody feel terrible. But if you see somebody that you care about looking crazy, imagine you're about to go out with your friend and let's say her skirt is tucked into her tights, or she's got a stain on the back of her leg and she can't see where it is on her white pants. She sat in some ketchup or something like that, and there's a stain on the back of her pants. And you just go ahead and let her walk outside on the street with you looking a mess. You don't care about that person if you did not tell them that they're out here looking crazy. And if you have people in your circle that will allow you to go out looking crazy and that will talk behind your back to everybody else about the problem that they have with you instead of coming to you directly, then that person is a low-key hater. That person is waiting for you to go and fail and lose elsewhere, and they're hoping in the back of their mind that it will knock you down a few pegs so they could feel like they're on your level. They could feel like they got one up on you. And so you have to be very aware and very conscious of, if you've never been checked, if nobody around you has ever said, hey, that's out of line. Hey, that didn't come across nicely. Hey, that didn't look too good or sound too good or whatever that looks like, and it's coming from a constructive place, not a place of just trying to tear you down or make you feel terrible. There's a big difference between those two things. So that's another topic for another day. But you really have to take inventory of, let's say, the people who you talk to the most. So your top 5 people, you've got to take inventory and say, 1, do I feel comfortable checking that person? Do I feel like I'm about to be attacked? Or do I feel like they might actually reflect on it in a way that is going to help them and grow them and stretch them to that next level that they're trying to get to? So that's the first thing you've got to ask. And then 2, have I ever been checked? Has somebody ever come to me and said, hey, maybe that wasn't the best way to do it? Maybe I know what your intention was behind that, but that's really not how it came across. But then in that question, you also have to ask yourself, have I ever openly asked for feedback? Have I ever let people know, hey, if you see me out of line, this is what my expectation is? And I believe when you have a solid unit of people around you, those are conversations that you should be having on a daily. If there are people running beside you to get to their own goals, y'all don't have to be on the same mission. But if the goal is success, if the goal is freedom, if the goal is happiness, if the goal is peace, and something in the way that you are conducting yourself does not fall in line with one of those goals that you set out for yourself, a solid team is going to put a spotlight on it, not in a negative way, but they're going to highlight it and say, hey, take a look at this, and here's something to reflect on. That is how you know if you are in the right circle. That is how you know if you have the right environment. If it's a space where you can communicate without feeling like you're being judged and attacked and criticized, and if it's a space where you feel like you can let somebody know, hey, this is where I see room for improvement for you. You asked me to hold you accountable, so this is what I'm doing. I'm going to come forward and let you know that I didn't like the way that sounded, or that did not sit well, or that person is hurt because of what you just did. You got to make sure that the people around you feel comfortable to have those kinds of conversations. So if you remember in the beginning when I was speaking about there's a balancing act between being willing to go on your success journey by yourself until you become the person who can attract the right energy and the right people in your life. Now, the way that works is you have to go ahead and do the work on yourself. You have to be a person who's willing to take feedback and use it as a tool and a resource to grow and develop. If you're finding that you're very sensitive when somebody in your team who genuinely cares about you is trying to help you out, then that's some work that you have to do on yourself. That might be some self-confidence. That might be something that you might not have dealt with that could have happened years ago. And that's a point of reflection where you just have to do some more personal development. Once you become the right person, you will be able to identify the wrong people. You will know right away when energy is just not good energy because you've created yourself into a person who has that positive energy that you're looking for, and you can automatically sense when something doesn't belong in your space. So if you are the quote unquote bus driver, this is your bus. You want to have the right people on the bus, which means you have to be the right person in the first place. You get the wrong people off the bus, and then you decide on your destination. So for example, I keep going back to this point where all of us are looking for some form of happiness and peace or freedom and options in our lives. Regardless of what your goals are, that is exactly what we're all trying to create. The reason we go to work every day is because we want more resources so we can create options in our lives. The reason that we do personal development, or the reason that we go to networking events and try to connect with people, is because we want happiness and we want peace in our lives, and we want the people around us who are going to help us to create that. So if the ultimate goal is one of those four things, then we could be very flexible in terms of our destination. And once you have the right people on the bus, then you're able to take advice, you're able to take wisdom, you're able to listen to experiences and be open to different options and different ways of doing things, which might change your destination a little bit. It will open up your perspective in such a way that you can never do on your own. And then you can take a detour. You might change the entire destination because you got the right people around you who can steer you onto the right track. So I truly hope this is clear. I know it's a little bit all over the place, but what I'm getting at here is twofold. First part of this is you've got to really do a lot of reflection and say, if the people around me are not the right people, the first question to ask is, well, am I the right person? If you realize that you are not the right person, then you've got to take some time to do the work on yourself. Read some books, go to therapy if you need to, start speaking to people who are in the spaces that you want to be in, and really do some reflection, because you can't attract what you are not. So if you are looking for powerhouses, people who are going to be supportive, people who have incredible work ethic and who are reliable and dependable and honest and loyal, you have to make sure you're that person. If you have a grocery list of things that you're expecting from a partner and from a team, you have to be that. Now, once you've done that reflection, then you start taking a look around and taking inventory. Okay, well, who's on my bus? Who's in my corner? And if there's people who don't belong there, well, then you can send those people away with love. They don't even have to know that they were cut off or repositioned in your life. but they don't have space on your immediate bus because you got places to be and your bus is at capacity. Because you got to fill it with all the positivity that you can and all of the gems and the jewels and the incredible resources that you can. And you don't have space for negativity or somebody who is not interested in running on the same path as you are. So that's essentially the building block of the day is you have to protect your energy and you have to take inventory of who's on your bus and who's going to be able to help you get to your ultimate goal, your ultimate destination. But you have to be the right person in order to have the right people on your bus. You have to be the friend that you want to find. You have to be the mentor that you're looking for. You have to be that positive person that you're looking for. And so personal development and reflection and seeking out people who emulate what it is that you are looking to accomplish, that's the way that you're going to get there. If you expect people to hold you accountable, then you have to be able to hold people accountable. You can't be uncomfortable with those uncomfortable conversations if you expect people to come and give you open feedback. So the idea there really is to make sure that your environment is in support of your goals. So that is all I've got for the day, guys. If you did enjoy this episode, share it with a friend, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. All of that helps more people receive the same message. You can have immediate access to any of these podcasts, as well as some resources for the basics of financial literacy through the Matrix Legacy app. I will be here next week with another building block for success. Until next time, let's build a legacy.